with the Fed, replace it with the Chinese system, and all of these types of things. Now, remember the front system was built by the back system and not the other way around, okay? So the base platform of the front system has to coordinate with the back system, which is why the Federal Reserve has the capacity to process so many transactions per second. Neither gatekeeper nor the Federal Reserve was built without the cooperation of the others, okay? Both of them were built that way. That's why when I tell you your blockchains and the QFSs and the things Google's doing and whatever, you're not even in the neighborhood of what's really going on here, okay? So on the front side banking system, the Federal Reserve is at the top. Now, if you're from a country, if you are a country, you need to understand that you are subject to these people. No matter what you want to do, no matter how you want to slice it, no matter if you want to issue a new currency or whatever your problem is, you're not going to do it without these people, okay? I also have to override them with the access code and the key code, remember? So I don't need to talk to those humans. I just go right through the chute. But the fact of the matter is you're subject to these people. Now, what we talked about in the past is that by 2012, their agreement to issue new currency, new US dollars, is over. Okay, so that agreement had to be renewed with the back system, or now me. Okay, so they don't want to tell anybody, these Rothschilds, JP Morgan, the Morgans, all these people, the Dragon families and whatnot, don't want to tell anybody that they can't do that anymore. Okay, so now let's go down the food chain here. Under the Federal Reserve, Tier 1. Okay, every central bank in the world, all central banks exist here. Every single one of them in the banking system is considered a level 3 Tier 1 institution. So when they tell you in dinar land, the Tier 1s are going first, well, yeah, because they're next in line after the Fed for control, okay? So every central bank in the world, every central bank's currency in the world, new allocations came in the past from the back system. They go through the Federal Reserve. So all these central bankers here, the reason why they're all Rothschildians, as I call them, is because they're tied directly to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve hired them all because all of these people work for them and vice versa, okay? You cannot issue a new RMB. They tried it last weekend for anybody who's watching this program, and they also tried it 2 days ago, okay? You cannot issue these things. You cannot issue any ruble. You cannot issue a British pound. You cannot issue a USD. You cannot issue a South African rand. You can't issue any currency in the world, every currency. You can't issue a euro without your key code and data code from the Federal Reserve, which you now know comes from the back system, okay? So Tier 1 banks, HSBC, Barclays, Bank of America, JP Morgan, so on and so forth. But they all have the same amount of power in the banking system as the central banking system does, okay? Need all the access codes, key codes, data codes, or whatever. Now, where are you? Okay, you bank with the credit union in the United States. You are here, okay? So we got to go through the Federal Reserve, data codes, batch codes, key codes, right? Do JP Morgan, batch numbers, manual overrides, remuneration codes, so on and so forth. And then if JP Morgan does their job, which they never do, by the way, does their job, I can now get to credit union, okay? Or I can go down here to HSBC, I can go to Bank of America, and I can hit like maybe Capital One Bank, down here. And then I can go down from here to like Arizona Bank of the West, or right, something, right? So now you've got, this is what's called Tier 2. Okay, so Tier 1, Tier 2. So if I'm going to go to, say, a bank in South Africa. Let's call it FSB Bank. I got to go from here. I got to go to a tier one, which actually in this particular case would be considered Bank of England. Any Commonwealth country, for those of you listening, it's Bank of England first. That's my tier one bank in this transaction. I got to go down there, and then I got to go to your Central Bank of South Africa or Australia or wherever you're going, and then I have to hit the next bank down in the food chain, ANZ Bank. As an example, if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you'll recognize that bank. So it's a lot more complicated than anybody thinks. And the Federal Reserve has more control than you ever thought. Everybody thinks of the Federal Reserve controlling the dollar and the dollar controlling the world, but that's not the case, okay? It's every new allocation of every currency in the world. So even if you were a dragon family and you had desires to back the entire world's currency with gold, say, okay, that still has to have a hallmark. And it has to be registered as gold in the back system. It has to hit one of the backside vaults in the cross-collateralization program, which you know nothing about, and I had to fix and change, right, to get to the front. So I just wanted to give everybody a clear, because a lot of the questions that we had for today's show were all relative to everything we just discussed.